Hello. Now today's recipe is a westernized East Indian dish. It's chickpea pancakes that instead of using East Indian seasonings, I'm using Western seasonings, specifically dried mushrooms and dill with a little salt and pepper. This is a very easy recipe to make. I got a lot of stuff on the counter here, so you're going to need a medium mixing bowl. I'll just bring this in for the quick shot. You're going to need a small non-stick frying pan. Okay, you need a strainer, measuring cup. Now you can either use like a teaspoon for this. I've got an oral syringe here that I'm going to use because you need a very little bit of oil, basically a few drops for each pancake, and I find it easiest to use that. You need a ladle. Mortar and pestle, you don't strictly need for the dried mushrooms. You can crush them up by hand. I just find you get a better consistency and it's cleaner if you do this. You need chana, which is chickpea flour, also known as gram flour or bizan, and you need homemade yogurt. You can use store-bought, but the result is just not going to be the same. So I'm going to start mixing and I'll be back in a bit. First step is to grind the mushrooms. I've got about approximately half a cup in here. This doesn't have to take a very long time. What you're doing is basically taking the big chunks and breaking them down so that you get some in each of the pancakes. You don't actually want a completely fine powder, you do still want some small pieces. Okay, so mushrooms are done. The next step is to sift the chana. Okay, so just get 2 cups of the flour. Now this is not a precise recipe, these are pancakes, okay? And quick break to wash the only measuring cup, 1 cup measuring cup I've got. So then you add your seasonings. So just sprinkle some salt on top, not too much, it's probably like half a teaspoon. Some black pepper, again this is to taste. A very generous amount of dill. I basically just shake it on until the top turns green. Okay, so now you're going to sift this, basically by banging, banging the sifter, not too hard that you don't get it all over the counter. Let's try this. Okay, so that's about as sifted as it's going to get. Okay, now I'm not going to toss the rest because it's got a lot of seasonings in it, and this is going to get mixed up anyways. Put that in the sink. Add your mushrooms. Mix up your dry ingredients. Set the dry to the side and come back and get your wet ready. This yogurt was made a couple of days ago and it came out extremely well. I did adapt the recipe slightly. I added a new ingredient to it, a product called Floristore, which is another probiotic, and if you can buy it locally, I know I can here, but it's sold from Europe, so it's probably available internationally. It's Saccharomyces boulardii, and I figured, well, I'll just throw it and see what happens. Now, I took a picture when I took it out of the oven that I'm going to put in here for you to see that the consistency was so improved that it basically came out solid out of the oven. Now, it did cream up a bit after. So for this recipe, okay, getting back, first we started with 2 cups of the chana flour. Okay, I'll move this over a bit better so you can see the consistency of the yogurt. Okay, so you're going to need a cup of the yogurt, and what I'm going to do is after I've got this in here, clean this up a bit, put the container away. I'm going to thin it out with an additional cup of water. Okay, so I just grabbed a cup of water from the sink. And just give that a stir for a few seconds. Okay. You don't have to worry about getting all the lumps out. That will happen when you mix it. Dump the yogurt into the batter. Get your ladle. And start mixing it up. You can use a measuring spoon or a whisk for this. I just like using the ladle. I've got a gravy ladle, which is just the right size for a pancake. It's approximately half a cup. This batter is going to be very thick, and it's important that after you've got all the dry stuff in, which is nearly there, that you're going to stir it before you put each pancake in. Okay, so I'm going to start my frying pan on a medium here. Okay, so my pan is hot here, and I poured a little bit of oil into a glass that you can see, and I've got my handy dandy syringe that you can either buy these, or if you've got kids, you probably have a collection, or go down and beg one off your local pharmacist or chemist, as they call them in Britain. Okay, the nice part about this is you can control exactly how much oil you're putting in the pan, and if you're a calorie freak, you can even figure out how much exactly you're putting in. Now, each pancake should take around 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a half. So that's like a mill and a half, which I've got in there. Stir up your batter. Okay, just get one good ladle of batter. Drop that in the middle. Tilt your pan around to stretch this out as far as it'll go, and just let it cook on one side till the bubbles form, and that should be about a minute or so. I'll check it then. Okay, so it's about been a couple of minutes. How you test if your pancake is done, and if you don't have a pair of these silicone tongs, I highly recommend you get one. They're worth them. It's the best thing I ever bought for the kitchen. Okay, so what happens when your pancake is done, it will lift completely off. If it's even half sticking, just let it go and finish cooking. Then you just pick it up, turn it over, and you have that lovely golden color. I'm going to see if I can have a zoom on that. Alright, so I've got the last one in the pan here. As you can see, I'm just basically good to the last drop. I've got about a dozen, I'd say even more than a dozen of these made. Just going to flip the last one here. The nice part about using the syringe is I've reloaded, this is the second time I've reloaded. So I've used a grand total of 25 mils for a dozen or so, probably more pancakes. These nice savory pancakes, so that's about 2 mils of oil. Less than half a teaspoon of oil per. And these are completely vegetarian. For all of you out there who are waiting for me to do some vegetarian recipes. So here you have it. Chickpea pancakes with dried mushrooms and dill. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.